You know, there's times in MMA where you hear about a matchup and you just can't help but think, this is a bad idea, bro. This is a really bad idea. You know, I was thinking back like John Jones.
You say that.
Yeah, we don't actually say that name in here.
Jones was probably watching that fight last night, Illia Topuria knocking out Charles Oliveira, and he was saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
He does nothing for me. He does nothing for me.
You got this surging young guy that's just knocking everybody dead. I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need those problems. Like when they made the announcement, of course Charles had a chance. Everyone has a chance. But the way Charles fights, his style, and we could talk about game plans and what his game plan was and if it was a good game plan, but the way Charles fights, it just plays into Ilya's hands, bro. You can't trade with this man. You can't trade with him. I was telling people on X before the fight, they were asking about, that was, for whatever reason, that was this big discussion about Ilya's power. You know, would it translate to 155? Bro, we've seen him at 155. I don't care if you think Jai Herbert's a bad fighter. In that particular fight, he did pretty good, bro. He did pretty good against Topuria. Certain fighters have moments, bro. They have moments where they look really good, or, you know, just certain moments. The guy got in the UFC after being knocked out like that, he's never been the same. But I knew his power would translate, bro. Either way, you have a guy that's fighting it, that fought this fight against Jai Herbert at 155, and he knocked him dead. He knocked him dead. He has that capability. Whether you think Jai Herbert's a bad fighter or not, he has the capability to put his fist upside your chin and put you to sleep, regardless of weight. Now, you know, I'm talking about 145 to 160, 170 even. I think he could do it at 170, bro. I think he's that good. Illia Topuria is that good. There's only a certain times in MMA you get to see a run like this. This is special, bro. This is special. You don't see this very often. He has the potential to be the GOAT. He does. He's on that path. He's on that path. Now we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but yeah, back to Charles real quick, man. Like when that fight was announced, look, Charles is a warrior, and respect, all the respect to Charles for going out there and putting it on the line. Sometimes I wonder, just as a trying to think as a businessman, like Jones was doing, whether you agree with John. Look, I didn't agree with what Jones did, but if you really think about it, if you are in John Jones' corner and they're, you know, you're asked about this fight with Aspinall, what do you say? And I'm not trying to make this about Jones, but like you have to make the smart decision sometimes for your career. Fighting Illia Topuria can change your career. It can change your career. I hate to say this because I love Oliveira so much, but I don't think he'll ever be the same, man. I don't think he's ever going to be the same after a knockout like this. And I predicted this before. Now, look, MMA is a hard sport to predict, so I get predictions wrong all the time. That's why I don't really do predictions on my channel. You never know what's going to happen, bro. But the writing was kind of on the wall here. Charles gets hit in every fight, bro. He gets hit in every fight, and you cannot get hit by this man. He will put you to sleep. He didn't even give Charles a chance to get, because, you know, we would say, oh, well, he's fought these big punchers in the past and he survived. True. That's very true. He was younger, though. He was, you know, every time you get hit, bro, every time you get in these fights, all those shots he took, just thinking back, all those shots he took to the back of the head from cheating ass Chandler in his last fight, they add up, bro. And eventually you can only take so many, but I don't even think that would have mattered. I think he knocks Charles Oliveira out at any point in his career. Now, Charles always had that chance. Charles has shown the ability to get the submission early on, but that was his chance, bro. Like when they were on the ground and he was going for those heel hooks and the calf slicer, that was his chance because I just didn't see it on the feet. Of course, everybody has a chance on the feet, and he landed. I figured, you know, I told my wife when we were watching it, I was like, you know, Charles tagged Illia once or twice. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen again. This is it. That's all he needs. He might take a few shots here and there to get the timing, to get the speed, and then he's going to turn it up and he's going to put him away. It's like he knows these guys' weaknesses, and he knows when he connects, he's going to put you to sleep. That's all he's got to do is connect. That's, I think, where a lot of the confidence comes from. Also the training and everything, but like, he just knew, man. He just knew. He knew before he went in there. I don't know if he will be, was he this confident before the Bryce Mitchell fight? Was he this confident before the, Josh Emmett fight? Was he predicting what round? I don't think so. So it's also the opponent. It's also the aura, him being the champ. Like, 28 years old, bro. It's amazing. Back to Charles one more time, because I never got to finish my point with Charles. What do you guys think in the comments? Do you take that fight if you're in Charles Oliveira's corner? If you're his manager, do you take that fight? Because the way I look at it, there was a huge possibility you're going to get knocked out. It's going to move you down the rankings, and it could be a career changer. And that's the big part. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. I know it's silly, guys. I know it's silly me saying, like, just pass on the fight, duck him. I'm not saying do that, but you have to know your weaknesses in this game. And him getting in Topuria's face in boxing range and doing any exchanges with him was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. And you can say that's how Charles wins his fights. That's fine, but this is a different guy. This is a different guy. Yeah, other than I wouldn't want to call it fluke or luck, but I mean, we see now after they fought, Illia Topuria is the better fighter, right? He's the one that can put your lights out. Between him and Charles Oliveira, he's the better fighter. I think he beats him at any point in Charles' career, any version of Charles. So we know that Illia is the better fighter now. So the only way Charles winning to me would have been him catching him. It wouldn't have been the most likely outcome. Let's put it at that. They fight 9 times out of 10. I think Illia wins 9 times out of 10, just because Charles just can't take that type of shot. And you can say, oh, well, he's taken shots from guys before. I don't know if they put the lights out quite like Illia. And, people were trying to compare it to Conor about the power.
I'm telling you, bro, Illia's not gonna have the same power at 155. No, remember Conor? When Conor moved up at featherweight, he slept everybody. He went to 155 and he TKO'd a guy. Couldn't knock him out. What about Nate Diaz? He couldn't knock out Nate Diaz. Conor lost all his power when he moved up. Illia's not gonna have the power. Charles is gonna eat all his punches and he's gonna submit him.
And I'm just like, it's not the same, bro. Y'all remember the famous, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that guy? Fuck is that guy? What did Jeremy Stevens say? What was he actually saying in the background? This guy TKOs.
I TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move.
Right? That's what Jeremy Stevens was saying. He was actually right there, bro. Jeremy Stevens deads people. Whereas Conor McGregor, he had some KOs. The Aldo, even though Aldo was immediately like putting his hands up in protest, and even though he went out, he had an earlier fight earlier in his career. Conor had one that was like just like the Aldo fight. He slips the right hand, KOs the guy. He had the KO in Cage Warriors when he went up to 155. He slept that guy. But most of Conor's fights, they were TKOs. He would wobble them, rock them, and then, drop them, stop them. Topuria doesn't give you that option, bro. Topuria sends you to bed. He gives you a nap, like you're going to sleep. You're going to wake up and wonder what happened. He makes you a meme, basically. I'd already seen memes of Charles like laid out dead on the canvas. And bro, why bring your kids? They said, oh, his daughter begged, all respect to Charles, I don't mean no disrespect, but his daughter begged him to come to the fights. No, you're not coming to this fight, baby girl. You're not coming to this fight because this is a dangerous opponent and there's a chance I could get knocked out. That tells me did he not think that could happen? Because I don't want my kids to see that, bro. Not a little daughter seeing her dad knocked out on the canvas, looking like he's gone. Blood, like it's just not for kids, bro. It's not for kids. If she was a little older, maybe when he was fighting like Dariush, where there's not as much a chance of him just getting flatlined, it was more than likely always going to happen, bro. It was always going to happen. It was a bad matchup for Charles. It was a bad matchup for Charles. I'm not saying Charles, I'm thinking back to what I said. I'm not saying Charles shouldn't have took the fight, but sometimes you got to think about your career, especially later when you're older. Like, man, dude, is this the smart move to make? If not, I need to be practicing my wrestling. I got to get this guy down, and we cannot exchange with this man. If Islam Makhachev is on the feet for any amount of time, same thing's going to happen to him. Paddy Pimblett, too. Same thing. Now, of course, Paddy has got youth on his side. He's got a pretty good chin. He's got a solid chin, but he also gets tagged, bro. Until Illia's against a guy that has amazing defense, I'm not picking against him. And even then, I wouldn't probably pick against him. But, like, you need somebody with good defense because you cannot get touched by this man. You cannot get touched by him. He will put you to sleep. This man has instant access to the shadow realm, and he can send you there, and he has no problem doing it. He'll send all your favorite fighters there. I feel bad for Charles, but for me, I think I knew that was going to happen. I was literally just waiting on it to happen. I was still shocked when it happened. Think about Paddy Pimblett getting in there. I heard Dana afterwards say that he wasn't actually supposed to be in there. How does that happen, bro? How does that happen with the UFC? How does a guy get let in there when the boss said, "Oh yeah, that wasn't he wasn't supposed to get in there"? Armin's the fight to make. Let's do Armin versus Ilya. Let's do Gaethje and Paddy. Armin, Gaethje, they're all right there. I don't know. I don't know. It really depends on what happens with Islam. Does Islam beat JDM? If he does Ilya try to go up? There's a lot of great options. Guys, you need to appreciate Illia Topuria because we needed him right now, bro. We needed him. We needed a superstar. That's another reason I always get a little perturbed when I hear these media guys talking about the UFC doesn't have any superstars right now. Bro, they're going to come. They always show up. Sometimes we go a little while without them. But superstars are always going to be around. They have to grow and come organically. Because you see when the UFC tries to push superstars on us like Sean O'Malley and some of these other people, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They're not actual superstars. And that's not a dig at O'Malley, but he's not. He's not this big global superstar. Connor had a whole country behind him. And then most of America and England and everywhere else. He had a huge following. Ilya's got Spain. He's maybe got Georgia behind him. So he can be a star, put it like that. And they need to put all the promotion behind him. And yeah, back him, bro. Like, we don't need guys like John Jones in the sport. Also, Illia Topuria, pretty good example of a champion. Carries himself very well. You don't hear about no controversies. He eats clean. He doesn't do drugs, no alcohol. Well, does he drink alcohol? Does he drink wine? I can't remember. I don't know. But no controversies, bro. No controversies. We very well could be watching the GOAT. We very well could be. They said that about Jones early in his career. He's just smashing people, going through everybody. And it's like, yeah, if he keeps doing this, it'll be undeniable. Now, of course, he kind of messed that up for himself with the PEDs and all that. But you start to see, when a guy that ends up being a GOAT is on his run, there comes a point where you go over that hill and it's like, okay, this guy, fun when they're on the rise, on that legendary run. Those three fights, those three knockouts, it's gotta be. I can't think of any other 3-fight win streak, 3-fight back to back to back that's more impressive. What is it? I know some guys have some incredible 3 fights where they won belts and everything else. But I think the way Topuria did it, the way he did it, and who he did it to, I think you got to have it number one. The greatest 3-fight in UFC history. Dude's good, bro. Dude's good. I'm excited, man. I just hope he stays active. I want to see the next matchup. Let's get him in there. Line him up, knock him down. We need that. We need that activity. Uh, my wife was saying last night we were hoping they would announce something with Tom Aspinall, his next fight. He's there in Vegas. What's going on? I saw in the presser afterwards Dana do a little jab at John Jones. They asked him a question. He was just like, "Yeah, that's not true. He's not telling the truth there." So watch, guys. In the media, Dana will start slowly uh, opposing Jones. You're not going to see the glazing that he was doing before. It's going to be, and could quickly build up if Jones starts yapping his mouth. Because he's not a UFC employee no more, boy. He never really was. He's an independent contractor, but Dana's not going to care anymore. Watch. You can see. If you watch Dana long enough, that was a jab there. Let's see how Jones responds, because you know people are going to say something to him. You know they're going to send him the clip of Dana calling him a liar. Jones is going to go on his Twitter rants. Dana's going to start jabbing back. The glazing of John Jones is over. So that part's good. I'm excited about that. So some bumpy roads this year, but seeing a guy put on a historic 3 fights like that, it kind of softens the blow, put it that way. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. Who should his first defense be against? Should it be Patty? Should it be Armin? Should it be Gaethje? Who should it be? Let me know what y'all think. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.